I'm a week away from my period. I checked on the app, even though I'm not really regular. But yeah, I'm fully in the luteal phase. And I'm going through it a little bit, but today I'm going to talk about how not to only make it bearable, which if you have PMDD or very intense PMS, even a 10% improvement is life-changing, because the luteal phase is, as you know, half of your life, which is insane. But not only, how to make it bearable, but also how to use it as some sort of a little bit of a superpower to level up to a point where in 6 months, you're going to look back and almost, I know this is a lot to say, don't hate me. If I was still in the thick of it, I would have hated someone to say that, but you're almost going to feel grateful for the luteal phase that you have every month, when you're going to see how much using it as a superpower it can help. Also, if you're a man watching this, or someone who just doesn't menstruate, but you're watching it for research purposes for a loved one, you're the best. Oh, by the way, got my nails done 2 days ago. I'm obsessed. Like, actually, these are like my favorite nails I've ever had. This and like one a year ago. I apologize in advance because I'm a week away from my period. I am feeling a little bit like, but don't worry, we're going to get through. And I would like to say the fact that I'm even here doing this, a live stream a week away from my period, if you have PMDD or a bad PMS, you know what a feat that is. I couldn't do this a year ago, 6 months ago. Okay. So that's just a testament that what I'm going to talk about today, the secret sauce, it works. It works. Let's get started, shall we? I hope you can see my screen right now. This technology stuff, like, I'm very grateful because I'm able to do what I'm doing right now. It's so much work, and there's so many little things that can go wrong and that do go wrong. But I guess that's the case with any craft. So let's see if I put it full screen. I created last night a cute little PowerPoint presentation. Okay, what I'm seeing on the monitor, I hope that's what you see as well. Why am I even making this video? Because as you see on the left here, about a year ago, I made this TikTok about how I realized that I could use my luteal phase as a superpower. And back then when I made this TikTok, I had just started doing it and I had already seen great effects. And surprisingly, to this day, I still get comments on this TikTok where it's girls saying like, damn, like, thank you so much. Like, this has helped me so much, yada, yada. So I really wanted to expand on it, especially because now a year later, I have truly perfected the craft. And so we're going to learn how to not only survive the luteal phase, but kind of give it like this Uno reverse situation where you're actually going to it's going to be a curse turned into a blessing. It's going to make you a little mad because it's like, oh, if we had been taught this from the start, it would have saved a lot of mental, physical, relational pain. But listen, better late than never, truly. So we're going to see the difference between unmanaged PMS, PMDD, which was me before, and some of you, I imagine, and managed PMS. Let's zoom in. Okay. As you can see here, and as you know, it's the first phase is the menstrual phase. You're bleeding. It's just a short recap, okay? You're bleeding, your hormones are at their lowest. Follicular phase, they start shooting back up. So you start getting a little bit of energy again. Ovulation, it's the peak. It's when you feel your best. You're almost a little bit manic sometimes. The hormones are hormoning. And then the biggest part of your cycle, for some twisted reason of the universe, is the luteal phase. Like, it has all this half of the cycle all to itself, okay? Messed up, kind of? Yes, absolutely. Here I made a little chart. I feel like a lot of you will be able to relate to this if you actually clicked on this video, because I'm guessing that you're suffering from your luteal phase right now, which I'm so sorry. Like, I don't wish it on my worst enemy. So here's a little chart to compare both. In the first one, you can see, let's say that the upper half is you feeling good, the lower half is you feeling bad. And this line is just time passing by, linear. Here you can see there's ovulation. And then right after ovulation, every time, like clockwork, clockwork. Like literally, I will wake up and I'll know I'm in my luteal phase, and I know, if you know, you know. And then it's just a slow descent into madness. And when you have unmanaged PMDD and PMS, it's very intense. Like as you can see here, the time that you spend here in green feeling okay is much tinier. It's much, here you can see it's much thinner and smaller than the time spent in red. So it's a very deep descent into madness, to the point where you feel like our little Jake the dog here. Like this is truly, it's not even an exaggeration when you have PMDD, like these two states. And then you have your period where you're kind of like just in a daze. You're like, if really, growing up, people were always saying like the period was the bad moment of your cycle. Don't get me wrong, it hurts physically, but damn, compared to if you have bad PMS, compared to the 2 weeks before, like it feels like a liberation. Like people in my family even called it, did the liberation come? Like that's how bad it was in my case. And so you're just kind of in a daze. You're just like, glad it's over. You're in a semi-coma. And then you have like a week to 10 days on a good month where you're like going back up. But the thing we're going to see compared to when you manage your symptoms is that it's unequal, right? Because your symptoms are so bad while you're in your luteal phase that you actually spend half of the good week that you have just trying to get stuff back together when it comes to like your physical health, your mental health, the tasks, your projects, your relationships, etc., your hopes and dreams. It's real. It's that real. It's that serious. And then you get to ovulation where you see like on a good month, you're like Jake on the right. You're like, okay, I'm good right now. I'm good right now. And on a bad month, you're like, you barely recovered from the luteal phase that just passed, and you're very scared of the one that's coming in a couple of days. Now, this is me now, and this can be you, and this will be you. Trust, my love. Managed PMDD. Ups and downs. You see top and bottom. It's equal. It's homogenous. It's balanced. And when you're actually feeling good, you can socialize, you can chill. You even have moments of like pure joy and just like excitement and awe. And when you're feeling bad, because, okay, the luteal phase will always be the luteal phase. I'm not making promises that I can't, like, I'm not making empty promises. It sucks. Like, I'm still feeling, my sleep is still not as restorative. By the way, I listened to a podcast between two comedians, and they were men. And one of them was saying, oh, me and my wife have like these rings. I think they're Aura rings. Aura? I don't know. And he was like, yeah, my wife, when she's around her period, she wakes up, and even though she slept like 8 hours like me, the ring or the app will tell her from the ring, oh, your sleep restored you like 50%. Yeah. Because why did I sleep 8 hours and I feel so tired? Imagine, it's basically the difference between men and women is that men, when they charge themselves, like they charge a phone, they wake up and the phone is at 100%. We charge our phones all night and we wake up and it's like 50, 60% at best. Anyway, let's get back. That being said, so yeah, when you're at your worst, see, you feel kind of like disgust, you feel irritable. I don't need to explain to you. You already know this. This doesn't stop, but you could clearly see a difference between these two, and these two, like, right? But this still happens. Like, I still get so much more triggered. Like, the same person will kind of act the same way. What I could describe the luteal phase now, I could still go on about my life, but I'm more scatterbrained. And also, like, if I arrive and see someone that I see, usually like one of my friends or whatever, and they're like, oh, I love the way you're dressed today. On a non-luteal phase week, I'd be like, oh, thank you so much. Nah. Love it. On a luteal phase day, I'd be like, oh, thank you. And in my head, I'd be like, Why did she say today? What's wrong with how I usually dress? But now now that I manage my symptoms, I'm at a point where I cut that very quickly, whereas like here, it would have made me spiral for no reason. No reason. Like I would have taken that type of comment to a point where I'm like, oh, that person hates me. Don't ask me how. That's just how it works. I don't wish it upon anyone. So there's 2 things to manage your PMDD symptoms. I'm going to talk to you about how to manage it first. Like I said in the beginning, how to make it bearable so that you're functional and you're still able to enjoy your life. Let's talk about the problem first. Like the thing that actually makes your symptoms so much worse. You have to go to the source, which is first take care of the physical problem, which is inflammation. I know you hear a lot about it. I know it sucks. It took me years to even be like, I was in denial. And so what do you need to get rid of first? 1, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Like I'm sober now, but if you had told me this like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have listened. No chance. 5 years ago, it would have really annoyed me. But alcohol, cigarettes, and all the other things, oof. If you struggle with PMDD, you're going to have to cut that. I'm so sorry. I know. But there are ways to still enjoy, especially more and more today, there are still ways to enjoy social events. Like they make great non-alcoholic beers now, mocktails. If you're really addicted to cigarettes still, I would advise to like go through the vape transition, even though I think that's super inflammatory as well, but like better than nothing. Like you do have to wean off of them eventually. Listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you that I've seen a huge difference when I stopped this. And I tried for years. I was like on and off again, because obviously there's a reason why, even though these things are bad, people still do them. There's a huge appeal, especially in the social aspect. So yeah. Second thing you need to get rid of, doom scrolling, especially at night. I think that's by far the addiction that's the hardest for me to beat. I have an app that I pay a yearly subscription to block certain social media apps at certain hours. I even have this freaking thing. I don't know what I can say, but I have this thing, which is a safe in which I put my freaking phone, because that's how much of an addict I am at night. I haven't used it that much since I got the app that blocks my social media apps, but I need to charge it, because like what I used to do before also is like, if I had an hour of work to do where I really wanted to focus, I would put it, and you can just put how much time you want it for. You could do it for the night. You could do it for an hour. You could do it for 30 minutes, whatever. And this helps so much. Yeah, this one, this one was so hard as well. So I went to the doctors a year ago because I was like, wow, like my PMDD is so bad. My period is irregular. My period is still irregular and I have all the PCOS symptoms. But anyway, I thought that I had a huge hormonal imbalance, but I thought the hormones that were imbalanced were like estrogen, progesterone, blah, blah, blah. Because I thought, from the little research I had done, I thought that was exclusively what happened with people who had really bad PMS symptoms. So I went to the doctor, I did blood work for those, but I did a full hormone panel. And so I come back to the doctors and he's like, no, like all of your sex hormones, like the progesterone, the estrogen, they're pretty normal. Yeah, your testosterone's a little high, but it's nothing to super worry about. I was like, should be happy, but given the symptoms that I'm like, given the pain, the horror that I'm going through right now, what the hell? And what does this man tell me? He's like, oh, but your hormones relating to food, they're all out of whack. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, so your cholesterol's super high. I was like, that's genetic. I know it from my family. But then he's like, your leptin and ghrelin are all over the place, which are the hormones that tell you that you're hungry and full. And I was like, I could have told you that for free. Like, my hunger is, I overeat at every meal and I think of food all the time. And then he told me one thing that really shook me to the core. He told me, oh, you're pre-diabetic. Excuse me, what? Like, diabetes? Like, he was like, no, you're just on the cusp over, like, there's normal and there's like the level where you become pre-diabetic. You're right over that. So it's manageable through like habit changes. But yeah. And I was like, what? It really pissed me off because I think it's also genetic and nobody has it in my family, even though like there's people in my family that eat so much sugar. No offense. Like, that's just facts. If they're watching, I'm just like, how are you not diabetic? And I'm pre-diabetic. Anyway, all of this to say that changing that habit really changed a lot for me. Wait, actually, while I'll explain. And it's not huge. I still have carbs at every meal. It was just that, just like the girl here, I thought that it was okay to just have bread. For me, it was buttery toast or rice. And then I would have some things on the side, but it was very much like 80% carb. I thought that was okay. Like, whatever. 'Cause I bought organic. Oh my God. Thinking about it now, it's like, damn, it sounds insane that I didn't know that, but I didn't. So yeah, now I switched it up. I add a little bit more protein and veggies to my rice. And when I want to have buttery toast in the morning, I put eggs on the side. Like, it's nothing crazy. And also just like moving a little bit, like walking 10 minutes or doing like 20 squats after your meal, trying to eat the meat and the veggies, even just a bite or two first before you eat your first bite of rice or pasta or bread. Just doing these little things, nothing crazy. Dude, like the way my acne went away and my PMDD symptoms like really alleviated, at least like 20-30%, it shook me to my core. So yeah, that's something. And these two are related. Insomnia, that's something. If you've had lifelong insomnia, I feel you. I've never slept better than I am sleeping now, even though I have bad nights. But yeah, you need to work on that any chance you can. And the screens, I hate to break it to you, like, don't bring your phone into bed, at least for 20 minutes. Just go to bed with a book. That's all I'm saying. Last but not least, stress. No stress. Anyway, I didn't want to spend too much time on this. These are the things that you need to work on removing. But I know it's really annoying when someone's like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Okay, then what can I actively add to my life? Because the only ways to stop bad habits is to actually replace it with habits that give you the same things that the bad habits are giving you. And often, because those involve more maybe like mild gratification or delayed gratification, oftentimes for one bad habit, you have to include like 3 good habits. But whatever. Why not? The more the merrier, right? So regarding that, there you go. What are you going to add to your life that's going to actively help you feel better so that you don't feel like you actually need these as much? That's the magic of it. It's like you could actually do things that will make it easier to stop. And that's something that I took really long to understand. I thought, oh, I just have to like try so hard to stop these bad habits. No, actually, it turns out if you do some good habits, it's going to be so much easier for the bad habits to stop, because they're not here because you're a failure. They're not here because you're weak, because you're lazy, blah, 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 which is what in a shame-based society, we love to put the blame on ourselves. But no, these bad habits are here because they're for fulfilling. You're not stupid. You know that they're bad habits, but you're doing them because they're fulfilling a need. And that need, unless you can help it be met by healthy things, the bad habits aren't going to go away. It's like that for every addiction, every bad habit. So I was so happy when I discovered this woman. So I discovered her on TikTok first. Her name is Veronica, and her whole thing, but I realized it was shown on my algorithm 2 weeks ago that she has a YouTube channel as well. So you can, if you don't have TikTok, it's fine. She's currently doing her PhD on the female nervous system. Like she's very well versed on women's health, the hormones, on women's nervous system, etc. And her whole thing is that the more pleasure a woman includes in her life, the more all of her other hormonal problems, whether it's like your period, PMDD, irregular cycles, stress, everything's going to fall back into place almost magically, but it's not magic, it's science. This woman, Veronica, after I had made this video about the luteal phase superpower, I saw that she said some things that truly proved that I was right. So first of all, everything she's talking about, it didn't click right away because for so long, I think a lot of us are raised that way. I was just like, no, what do you mean the solution to my bad habits is pleasure? Like we are taught that we have to suffer to get good things in life. I don't deserve pleasure unless I've done something good before, unless I've been, I can treat myself because I've suffered and I've worked hard. But she explains that that's not going to work with women and their menstrual cycle. Especially in the luteal phase, what she says is that during the luteal phase, you have to do everything possible to increase your oxytocin. She always has to repeat because people are always like, so you mean like sex? And she's like, no, that's like one of many things. But even just like physical touch to others, like a hug, or even like she explains, when you put lotion on yourself after the shower, just really spend some time doing it in a very loving way. Try to pick a lotion where you love the smell and take your time to do it slowly and to feel all the sensations, like the touch, the smell. Also, obviously, these things like gratitude, acts of service, reading, nature, like that. For example, for me, the big thing is looking at a tree where sunlight is hitting one side of the leaves and there's a breeze that comes along and it looks like the leaves are dancing and it looks like it's glittery. Anyway, I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about because it's like a very human, universal experience. But taking the time to look at that for like 5-10 minutes if you can in your day and really enjoying that moment. A lot of it involves just slowing down and appreciating little sensory experiences. And that will just magically boost your oxytocin. Also, regarding the physical touch of it all, after I saw all of this, I bought this plushie that's a weighted plushie. So it's quite heavy, kind of like the weighted blankets. And just when I take it, it's so cute. It's a sloth. And when I just sit on my couch to watch Netflix or whatever, and I just take it in my arms, like I cradle it like a baby, immediately any little nervousness that I had from the day or whatever, it just immediately goes down. It's crazy. It's crazy. Add as much pleasure as you can. So everything I talked about, these two things, this and this, all of this is to make your actual luteal phase bearable, much more bearable. Now that we've seen this, I want to talk about how to turn your luteal phase into an actual superpower, where you can level up, meaning that from month to month, you're actually going to feel and see, and the people around you will see it mentally, physically, in your productivity, everything, growth, exponential growth. It never fails. Something that you have to understand here, as you can see, delusion vs hypersensitivity. And this is an image. You know how growing up in all of those movies, like the spy movies, also in Ocean's 11 or 8, the one with the girls, every time there's this thing of like breaking into a place, they have a scene where they have to like go through this hallway where there's a bunch of lasers, and that is basically you on your luteal phase. Now, there are some interesting evolutionary hypotheses as to why we are on such high alert during our luteal phase, one of which is that when you think of the cavemen, a woman during ovulation that's when she's fertile, right before the luteal phase. Then comes the luteal phase where the body doesn't exactly know whether you're pregnant or not. And you don't know that until your period comes, right? And so during that phase, your body is just going to be on more high alert for threats, because if you are pregnant, it's better to just like protect yourself a lot more. The reason why I wrote delusion versus hypersensitivity is because it is very easy, and I used to be like this, when your symptoms are really bad during your luteal phase, it is easy to think that you are completely delusional. But you are not. You are actually hypersensitive. So you're just scanning for threats, and every time someone says something with a little bit of a different intonation or a little bit of a, your nervous system will catch a micro expression and just extrapolate it and magnify it to mean so much more than it means, okay? You're just very aware, hypersensitive, hyper alert, but you're not delusional. Why is this important? Because what you're gonna do, the superpower is, you're gonna use it as a superpower, which I know it's very hard to conceive it as such because it is very painful. Nobody wants to like wake up being on such high alert with that like gray filter and feeling like everybody is kind of like you're out to get you. Everybody's your enemy. Everybody has like bad intentions. Nobody wants that. But if you intentionally decide, okay, there's nothing I can do about the hypersensitivity. What I can do is not gaslight myself, basically, by telling myself that I'm delusional. Some good news about this superpower is that, one, I'm not asking you to actually do anything during your luteal phase. And two, it's free 99. You don't need to buy anything for this, which in the big 2026 capitalist hellscape, a win is a win, okay? What you're gonna do is, one, understand that you're not delusional and just go through your luteal phase as best as you can. That's all I'm gonna ask, okay? Just try to give yourself as much self-compassion as possible. All I'm gonna ask for you for this superpower is, so during your luteal phase, you observe. You go through your luteal phase, you get a little irritated, triggered left and right, yada, yada, yada. Your period comes. Now, I don't want you to start doing this day 1 or day 2. It doesn't work. I don't know why. I think it's because you have to wait for the hormones to start kicking in. Just get your period. For the first couple of days, just rest, my girl. Rest. Then 4 or 5, when you start feeling a little bit, when the heavy part of the period, the heavy flow part of the period goes down, I want you to then either go on a walk or go somewhere or do it at home, take a notebook and journal. And you're going to ask yourself, okay, what is the thing? I would say one, it's usually one more than anything else, but maybe 2. Maybe they're connected. I don't know. But what is the thing or the couple of things that have triggered me the most during this past luteal phase? This is also why it's important to wait until day 4 to 5 of your period, because still in the first couple of days, I'm still very much in my feels, and it's going to be harder for me to be a little bit more objective and realistic. Ask yourself, what triggered me the most during this past luteal phase? You're going to have you're going to have no problem. It's not like the answer is going to come to you like that, because that's how strongly we feel the triggers and the pain. And what humans remember the most, the saying like, people don't remember what you said or what you did. They remember how you made them feel. Exactly. Like strong emotions, you don't forget what's ignited strong emotions in you. And this, often it's going to be something related to a relationship in your life or a dynamic. It's going to be something relating to your job, like something related to your studies or where you currently live, just certain habits of yours or certain ways you react to things. It's going to be something that was eating you alive during your luteal phase and that you just couldn't stop ruminating over. And that will be your answer, because basically, and this is why the luteal phase is a superpower, because if you didn't have your luteal phase, these things, for example, if there's a relationship that needs to go, if there's something at your work where you really need to change up what's happening, whether it's with a person or whatever, the way you're doing things, while you're not in your luteal phase, you're not as sensitive, so you put up with it. You're in denial, you put up with it, you give yourself excuses, you're just like, whatever. The superpower is that the luteal phase is going to make that so unbearable for you. And I know it feels like a curse because it's like, oh, fuck, why can't I just put up with shit? No. The superpower is that it's almost like a divine thing. If you're atheist, please bear with me. I'm not religious, but I'm kind of spiritual. It's almost like this thing in you, the divine feminine, that like every month makes one thing that it's not right for you unbearable so that you have to work on it. You can't ignore it. You can't be avoidant. So as you're going on your walk and this is why I put this image, because it's kind of like shadow work. Like you have to be so for real. This is why I put be freaking for real. You have to be so honest with yourself and just be like, okay, this past month, this is the thing that really messed me up. So I'm going to do something about it. And some months it's going to be, yeah, like I said, external. So it's going to be a relationship. It's going to be whatever you're doing. But some months it's going to be internal. The past, I think 2 times for me, it was internal. I was like, oh, no, you need to work on that part of yourself, girl, because it's really affecting all aspects of your life. And let me tell you, I've been doing this for a little over a year since, probably spring 2025 is when I started, a year and a half. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's to the point where, oh, by the way, the reason why I wanted to talk about Veronica as well, this woman, she explains, a lot of her videos talk about the fact that actually during your luteal phase, we have something that men don't have, for example, which is like scientific studies have proven that during the luteal phase and the period, I think, the women's brain have increased neuroplasticity. Like it is more amenable to change. And that makes so much sense with what I just told you, right? I was like, oh, no wonder every month. And now that you're going to do this intentionally, every month I literally feel like a new person. Like I feel like I'm shedding a layer of myself, like a Russian puppet, every single month. And I can feel almost my brain change. It is so satisfying, to the point where now when the luteal phase comes, I'm just like, okay, first of all, I'm going to do those little things that are just going to help me make it better. But also, like, I know that this pain is going to be very productive and I'm going to grow from it and level up and glow up and all these things. Basically, what I'm saying, TLDR, okay? Once your period comes, about 4 to 5 days after, when you start getting like just a little bit of blood, that time, do shadow work with the prompt, what was my biggest trigger during this last luteal phase? Girl, talk to me in 6 months. Come back and tell me nothing has changed. I'll have to investigate on that if you made that claim. I needed to share this on YouTube because in the past 2 months, when the biggest trigger that I found in the past 2 luteal phase was like relating to some internal stuff that I had to work through, having worked through those and seeing who I was even 2 months ago, even a month ago, and now, I was like, no, I have to share this. I have to share this. And I was so angry that this isn't something that is taught to us. Like, do you know how far so many of us young girls, and also because lately I'm seeing a lot of girls in their early 20s just like going through it the way I was going through it in the early 20s. I'm currently reading, I almost finished. Last month I read Uneducated, the memoir by Tara Westover. And this month I'm almost done reading Jeanette McCurdy's I'm glad my mom had died. And just the things she was going through, I was like, damn, like if you had knowledge and help, like we really need to spread the wisdom. But also like men need to, we're half of the population. Men need to know about this as well. Like this needs to be taken so seriously. And I totally agree with the people who are like, and this is why we were shaming ourselves which if you watched my video before, shame will make everything worse also. While you're in your luteal phase and you're a little bit cranky and less productive, blah, blah, blah. Like for example, today, I don't think I was like as eloquent as I would have liked to and as succinct. Okay, case in point, I could easily shame myself. Fuck it. And if I get a little irritated at someone, fuck it. Okay. The fact that society, a lot of it is built around the male anatomy, because men, like we said, like the guy said in his podcast, he wakes up every day. If he slept 8 hours, he's at 100%. That's not the case for women, okay? In the second half of their period. Yeah, it's important for men to know about these things. I was really happy when that man said that because he was saying that to his other male friend on the podcast and saying like, yeah, it's so crazy. And they were both having like this realization. They both looked like they were in their 40s and they were like, wait, like women are really going through it half of the time. And I was like, yes, and this needs to be taken into account. I wish we could kind of work around that. It doesn't mean that we should be off work half of the time. I still, just like here, what I was talking about, use it as a superpower. I feel like we could maybe work around it in some way. And maybe one day we will. I don't know if I'll be alive to see it because the world is not doing very, very good right now. So, but never say never. Basically, it's as if you as a woman, your body has seasons and you were just ignoring the seasons. And then you were trying to grow strawberries in the middle of winter and blaming yourself that the strawberries wouldn't grow. So yeah, you got this. If you're currently suffering right now from PMDD, you're just like, because when I was in the thick of it, every month I was like, I can't keep going. I can't, like, I can't. No. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You got this. If you have any questions, like contact me, comment, whatever. Let's team up. Let's support. Like together, we are stronger. I know it's a very cheesy sentence, but it's so true. Let's use the internet that is often used for very bad things. Let's use it for good. Let's do this. I'm done rambling. Love you so much. If you enjoyed this, subscribe. It helps my channel a lot. I'll just be posting stuff like this every week from now on. And yeah, have a wonderful day. Bye.